Booch, Vinny Bucci,
Cause
wrestler, comedian, cashier, man of
Little
many
bit of
talents,
everything.
man of many
Yes.
talents. Uh, I guess I'll get right off the bat and ask you, many people wonder, what's the meaning of Pizza Baby? Is there a deeper meaning behind Pizza Baby?
Um, I wish there was, but really there isn't. Basically, the whole idea came about during when we were trying to do the whole screaming and filming of the promos. They wanted to come up with a catchphrase for all the wrestlers, and my original plan was to say "in it to win it" because that was my catchphrase back when I did terrestrial radio. I used to say "in it to win it" all the time, but they felt it was too overused or overplayed, so we were trying to come up with the catchphrases, and I couldn't think of one on the top of my head. So they said, "What's your favorite food?" And I said pizza because I'm a big pizza lover.
Yes.
So they said, "Try Pizza Baby." So I looked into the camera and I just went, "Pizza Baby." I did like a couple takes, and then I remember walking out of there thinking, "That is the dumbest thing I've ever said. This is not gonna go over. I'm gonna look stupid." But surely enough, after the first episode, next thing I know, hashtag Pizza Baby pops up all over Adult Swim chat room, and it turns out now it's my new so now it's my new catchphrase. So the fans love it, so I love it. So now I just say Pizza Baby every chance I get. So it's something I kind of fell into, but now I'm embracing it with open arms.
Yeah, you turned crap into gold, I guess you could say.
Yeah, sometimes the best things in your life come unexpectedly. Like a lot of people just some people think of catchphrases, some people stumble onto them, and this one I kind of just stumbled into. So I love it. I'm glad to have it.
Okay, awesome. Speaking of your time as a wrestler, did you ever reconcile any of your enemies in Daytime Fighting League? Did you ever when you lost to Hero 121 or when you beat Meg or Jaguar Durango, did you ever reconcile any of them? Was there any hard feelings?
Meg Has Issues is the one that I reconciled with. Meg and I have become very, very good friends. We're not dating or anything, but we're just really good friends that have, after the show, we both have a love for professional wrestling like WWE. So that's kind of how our friendship came about. So we were very shocked that we had to face each other, but there was no hard feelings afterwards. In fact, the last time I saw Meg was actually a few weeks ago. We both happened to bump into each other at the Phillips Arena when Monday Night Raw came to town, and we got to talk a little bit after that. So I'd say Meg is the one that I've become really good friends with. Jaguar I haven't talked to since the show. Hero 121 I haven't spoken to since the show. There's no hard feelings there. I just never really got close with them, but Meg and I kind of bonded from the show. So Meg and we're still really good friends, and I hope to hang out with her again.
That's awesome. Meg was actually one of our favorites when me and the team watched the show. Meg was one of our favorite wrestlers.
Meg was awesome.
Yeah. So, did you consider yourself like a villain on the show or a hero, like a good guy or a villain? What did you think when you?
I was the clear-cut babyface on that show. I just from the fan support that I got. So it's kind of one of those things where I didn't have a goal to be a heel. I just had a goal to go out there and be myself, and the fans kind of made that choice. In fact, I think that so if you're speaking about heels and baby faces, I think in the match with me and Hero 121, I think I was the baby face and Hero was kind of the heel in a way. In fact, I think there's a lot of people I could say came off as really great heels. Hero became a heel when he eliminated me because a lot of people were pissed at him for that. I know that Kermit became a heel because of the hair pulling incident between him and Knuckles, and El Boogie was a clear-cut heel because not only did she hip check Meg Has Issues and cause her to go face first into the mat, which scared the hell out of us because we thought she was like unconscious. So when she got up like half a second later, you can't hear it because the audio was cut out, but she got a standing ovation from the crowd because of the fact that she took that hit and still kept on coming. So and El Boogie also became the heel because when she got disqualified, people don't know this, but backstage she was actually trying to pull the race card backstage. She felt that was the reason she got eliminated. It's like, no, you the whole object was to eat the sandwich without using your hands, and you swat the sandwich onto the ground.
Yeah.
Clearly, that's grounds for a disqualification. Like, you can't pull a race card in this scenario. We can all see that you cheated. It's not like there's any controversy in that. So I'd say those were the three heels, and I think Meg, myself, and I think maybe the Blazing Twins were baby faces as well. So I think there were a lot of babyface heel scenarios, but I think the fans kind of made those choices for us.
Yeah, it was decided by the public who was the good guy and who was the bad guy, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Have you always gone by the Booch?
Yes. Yes, I made sure to give that nickname because that is me. That has been my nickname my entire life, because my last name is Boochy. Naturally, everybody just called me Booch. I got the nickname back in high school. It carried with me when I went into stand-up. It carried with me when I went to the radio with the Regular Guys show. They started calling me Booch, and that's when it just took off like crazy. So anytime I've had to be in a situation, or even something in Daytime Fighting League with wrestling, it was just like, that's a name I just stood with. And then I got to find out it's actually a family nickname. I remember, funny story, when I was in high school, my brother and I were with our grandpa, and he was taking us down 9th Street because they live in Philadelphia. And at one point, there was a guy going, "Hey, Booch, yo, Booch." And I just started looking around because I'm thinking, who from New Jersey followed me to Philadelphia? Like, I'm looking around, like, I don't know any of these people. And then I found out later they're talking to my grandfather. And then I found out his nickname was Booch. And then my dad, his nickname became Booch. Some of my brother's friends, they call my brother Booch, and that's another story. My brother was in a bar with his friends, and they were all calling him Booch. So people actually walked up to him because they thought he was me. So my brother was signing autographs with Booch, and he got like free drinks the whole night because they thought he was me. And he came up to me, he said, "I hope you're not mad about that." I'm like, "Nah, dude, hey man, saved you a lot of cash. I didn't care." So the Booch has been a part of me. I can't, at this point in my life, I couldn't imagine having another nickname. That's my nickname forever, the Booch. I couldn't go by anything else.
It's like a whole nest of Booches over there.
Yes. Yeah, I'm just the only one that's trademarked it in the family.
So going to your comedy, have you ever had any hecklers doing stand-up?
Oh, I've had a lot.
How do you deal with them? What do you do? Do you call them out? Do you try to ignore them?
It's a mixture of a lot of things. The first thing I do is I ignore them on the first try. Sometimes I get thinking they'll get heckler's ADD and go do something else. But if it's persistent, then eventually you got to call them out. And then if it gets too crazy where you can't control it, that's when you got to just have the guy thrown out. Most of the time, the club owner will try to throw the person out because it's one thing if you're able to shut it down, but sometimes if the comic can't shut it down on his own, we will call a comic will demand that somebody get thrown out, because at the end of the day, you're ruining the show for the people around you, and I can't stand people that do that. Hecklers, they a lot of times they feel like they're helping the show. They do not understand that if you could be the biggest, I'll just say you're a fan of Bill Burr, mm-hmm. and you go to a Bill Burr comedy special or show. You think that because you're a fan of Bill Burr and you're like yelling and screaming, and you talking about one heckler actually finishing the punchline to one of his jokes because he just loved it so much. You think that you're helping him, but really he hates you in that moment. Like, you become his least favorite person when you heckle the show, and a lot of comics deal with that. And I just I try to shut it down. Sometimes I'm successful, sometimes I'm not, and the times where I'm not, that's when I'm just like, all right, let's get somebody out of here. And luckily, most clubs I've been to, they got bouncers that if you don't want to leave, they can make you.
Yeah, that's hecklers. I don't get the point in it sometimes. I don't know.
I don't either. Sometimes they just don't like a comedian and they want to just see him get off the stage as much as possible. So they just want to talk. They just want to talk shit. But ultimately, it just ruins the show for the people around you. It's like, if you don't like a comedian, you can just quietly get up. Unless you're in the front row, then it might be a little awkward. But you can quietly get up and just step outside and wait till that comic's done. I mean, as a comic, I get free access to comedy shows here in Atlanta. I've sat in the back of the bar. There's been times I've seen a comedian on stage and they're not funny at all. I'll go outside, smoke a cigarette, and when he gets off stage, I'll come back in and watch the rest of the show. Like, you know, I have the right to do that, but I would never, like, obviously I would never heckle somebody, but I just think that if you don't like a comic, just get up, step outside for a bit, come back, and when the headliner gets on stage, you know, you'll have a better time.
Yeah, totally. So we have actually some people I got from Reddit and other sites that wanted to speak to you. That's okay, just for a short time.
Sure.
Some live callers.
Absolutely.
Okay, let me try to add one real quick. Okay. So I think everybody's here.
Hey there.
We're gonna try to do it one at a time, and since I attempted to add Yams the first time, I'll go ahead and let Yams ask whatever question he wants to ask Booch first.
Yeah,
So
for sure, sweet.
Yams, go ahead.
Yeah, Booch, hey, what's up?
Hey, what's up?
Hello? How did you come up with the phrase pizza baby?
Actually,
Well, I came up with it through the directors of the show. We were trying to come up with they wanted to come up with catchphrases for everyone to say at the end, and we had to kind of pick our own. And originally, I had chosen "In It to Win It" because when I worked for the Regular Guys show, that was my catchphrase on the show. So I thought I'll carry it over here. But the director said, "Nah, we don't like that. Too many people use that. So we want to find something different." And I couldn't come up with anything, so the director said, "What's your favorite food?" And I said, "Pizza," because I love pizza. I eat it almost all the time. So he said, "Why don't you try Pizza Baby?" I'm like, "Okay." And it sounded weird, but Adult Swim was offering me a paid gig, so I would have said anything they asked me to say. So I just went into it and I went, "Pizza Baby," and we did a couple takes. And I remember walking out of there thinking, "Oh my God, this is not gonna work. How stupid is this gonna sound?" And I didn't think it was gonna work. But then when I saw when the show aired, surely enough, in the chat room, everybody's saying "Pizza Baby, Pizza Baby," hashtag Pizza Baby. Pizza Baby's ended up taking off like crazy. So now I just embrace it. I love it. It's taken off, and the fans have accepted it. And Pizza Baby's now my catchphrase because, you know, if the fans love it, I love it. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it sounds like we had a little crash over there. So we have any other questions for him? Scum, you have any questions for Booch?
I just want to ask like a basic question, like what's it like being a stand-up comedian?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. It's challenging at times, definitely, especially when you're trying to come up with ideas you're writing down ideas to try to make people laugh, and sometimes you hit a home run, and sometimes you strike out severely, and I have had both of those nights, but it's definitely an amazing feeling when you get a laugh from something that you created. When you see a room full of smiling faces knowing that you put them there, it's probably the most amazing feeling in the world. I love doing stand-up, and, you know, definitely one of my goals is to be able to full-time tour the country and definitely do stand-up. I love everything else that I've done, from radio to Adult Swim and all that, but my goal is to make the success of everything else circle back to the comedy job and help me get booked in more places.
That's sweet.
So what do you think your next step forward as the Booch? Do you think you're gonna try to get, if there's a second season of Daytime Fighting League, do you think you get on as like a villain, or as like some kind of like, or as like a hero that returns, or as a commentator maybe?
That is something I've been thinking about, although I can confirm that there will be a season 2 of Daytime Fighting League. We actually announced that last week. Last Thursday, I made an appearance on Fist Center Live, which is another popular AdultSwim.com show, and we announced on there will be a second season of Daytime Fighting League. I know that I'll be back in some capacity, but I don't know what it is yet. I don't know if I'm going to come. I may wrestle again. I may be a commentator, which I've been open to. The only job I know for sure I will not be doing is referee. Because at one point, somebody suggested I be the referee, but both me and the Adult Swim people agreed that would not be the best position for me, because apparently with the exception of myself, Priscilla Kelly is the only other person besides me that has become a breakout star from Daytime Fighting League. So getting rid of Priscilla Kelly would not be a wise decision, and even I know that. So that's the one position I would turn down as referee. Not because I couldn't do the job, but because I know people love watching Priscilla Kelly in provocative outfits refereeing matches. So I would not want to deprive the DFL fans of that. So if I do come back, it might be as a prodigal hero going for redemption, or possibly a commentator, which I would be open to do, because from my experience in radio and doing some commentary in indie wrestling companies, I would definitely be a great commentator and could definitely add my style of commentating to the show. So you'll definitely see me on season 2. I just don't know where yet, and that's because they haven't told me.
I'd love to hear some Booch commentary on the wrestling. I hope they put
That'd
you
be
as
sweet.
I hope they put you as a commentator.
Yeah, I loved it because I feel like if I did do the show, it would probably be like if you watch a lot of the other wrestling shows like WWE, TNA, Lucha Underground, you notice they got that one guy who's a legit broadcaster, like went to school for broadcasting, knows a lot about broadcasting, but brings that level of passion to it. People like, the Jim Ross and the Matt Strikers out there, or Josh Matthews. But then you got the guy who's actually been in the ring multiple times, like the Jerry the King Lawler, the Pope, and D'Angelo De Niro, and of course Vampiro on Lucha Underground. So I feel like I would be the Jerry Lawler of that show, the wrestling guy that can give you the insight from I know what they're thinking, I know what they have to do to win, because I've been in that scenario. So I feel like that's what I would bring to the table. Because Matt and Max, they do an incredible job. I don't want to take anything away from their talent, but because they never actually been inside the ring, I know that's an element I could add to the commentary team.
Yeah, you know what it takes to win those matches.
Oh yeah.
You've
And
been
one
through.
you sure have.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, Pizza Baby 1-2. Yeah. Actually, I feel that one of the most, other than of course the infamous Hero 121 bouncy horse fight that was probably the most physical fight, I think that your fight with Jaguar Durango was also one of the most physical. The bra unhooking, that was a very tense challenge they had.
It really was. I remember they were asking me before the show if it's something I would be comfortable doing, because but I told them, I said I used to work for a radio show called The Regular Guys, and I was an intern for them, and they did things to me on that show that would kill the self-esteem of a normal man. So I can honestly say in confidence that the time I worked with them prepared me for Adult Swim. Like, I literally was sitting at the guy, I'm like, he's like, are you going to be comfortable wearing a bra? I said, dude, I once wore an adult diaper filled with chocolate pudding. I can handle a bra.
Yeah.
They put that bra on me, no problem. Like, whatever task they wanted me to do, I was comfortable to do it. Whether it was wearing a bra, putting on butterfly wings, wrestling in a pool of SpongeBob's blood, I was down for just about anything they wanted me to do, because after being on the Regular Guys show, you can't put me in an embarrassing scenario. My shame, I have no shame left,
Yeah.
which is great for TV.
Yeah, that's what they need. That's what you need for Daytime Fighting League. You can't have any hesitations going in there.
Exactly, and it helps out a lot more when the fans understand that it's a match and a character you're playing. I think that's the most important thing. Like, people, like, that's the worst thing, is when people would watch the show. I never had this happen to me, but if somebody's like watching the show wondering, Vinny doesn't really wear a bra when he's not there, is he? And it's like, no, it was a match. Like,
Yeah, it's
I'm not gonna wear a bra in my spare time unless my girlfriend wants to do something really, really freaky. Then maybe I'll consider it. But
Yeah.
but yeah, and that's what makes it fun, when the fans understand that what we're doing is fun and entertainment, and they enjoy it. That makes it even better. And I loved the Boulder Holder match. I went into it, willing and ready to do it, and I had fun. That was definitely my favorite of the matches.
Yeah, that was it was like you were fighting Robin Williams returned from the grave, pretty much.
People say I remember people were saying I felt like I was wrestling a lookalike of Robin Williams. That's what they were saying about Jaguar, which was kind of a compliment because he was one of my heroes in stand-up. So I thought that an honor to step in a ring with a look-alike of Robin Williams was kind of cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. I actually that's my first thought when I saw that episode was, is that like a Robin Williams impersonator he's playing against? But yep. So this is a weird question, but before you go on stage for stand-up, is there any type of like food or refreshment that you like to eat or consume before you go on stage, or do you go there like not eating anything? Do you recommend eating or not?
It depends. Sometimes I do recommend eating if I haven't eaten all day. Sometimes I'll eat something before I leave the house. I don't have a specific ritual. The only thing I really have is I gotta have a soda with me. That is my mandatory thing. Like, it's kind of like how some comedians have water, Ron White has scotch, I do soda. Like, that's my go-to beverage because it gives me the caffeine jolt that I need to have the energy that I have when I go on stage, because I get, because I'm one of those entertainers that I had so much on my plate, I burn the candle at every end possible. So the soda kind of gets me through the day. If I didn't have that soda, I would probably pass out in the green room, and someone would have to like wake me up, and then I would come out on stage like half asleep, like, "Hey, Joe, Atlanta, how's it going? I was in the mall today. That's what ended up happening."
Yeah, totally.
What's your soda of choice?
That's a good question. I'm such a soda-holic. I never really had one. Like, I drank Coke, I drank Pepsi. Like, the only soda I won't drink is club soda. That's because it has no taste to it at all. I'm one of those guys, I could take a Coke Pepsi challenge, and I wouldn't even take the challenge. I would just drink all the soda. I didn't care.
A soda.
I actually got thrown out of a... I was in a mall in New Jersey. I got thrown out one time because we were blindfolded. Because if you take the challenge, you got to be blindfolded, so you don't know which is which.
Yeah.
And I was just drinking like a fiend, and I accidentally started taking soda from another guy's table, and we got into a fight, and the cops had to break it up.
People get heated over soda.
Yeah, he got mad. He kind of, because I was kind of just taking from his tray, because I just started. Keep in mind, I was 16 at the time. I should have prefaced the story. I was 16 at the time this happened. This was not something that happened last month. I was 16, so I didn't have as much control over myself back then as I did. So today I wouldn't do something like that. But so I have no soda of choice as long as it's because I had people tell me like, I've been to different restaurants where Coke and Pepsi's not in the same building, and I say like, I'll have a Coke, and they're like, is Pepsi okay? And I just look at them like, yeah, can I just have the soda, please? Like, I don't know why. Like, that's what really bothers me. Like, do people really like, here in Georgia, most people prefer Coke to Pepsi. That's because the Coca-Cola factory is in Georgia. So some people are anti-Pepsi because of that, and I can understand it. But in other parts of the country, it's like, soda is soda. It doesn't matter. Just drink it. The only real difference is Pepsi tastes a little sweeter. That's all I've learned, is that Pepsi has a sweeter taste to it, but I don't care. If whatever's in the building, I'll drink it.
That's a true pizza baby. So let's see. Oh, one important question should probably been asked earlier. How did you even come into contact with Adult Swim for Daytime Fighting League? Did they like see your stand up as a local, a Georgia comedian? William Street's there. Did they find you that way or through online?
It was through an audition, and it's actually kind of interesting. I was going through. I like most people on my phone. The first thing I do in the morning, I check my Facebook feed. This is something I always do.
Yeah.
And I was scrolling through, and a friend of mine who was affiliated with DFL, some of you might have seen him, Josh Wheeler.
Yeah,
He was the guy. Yeah. Josh Wheeler is for most people who don't know, he is the owner and operator of Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment, which is a local Georgia indie wrestling promotion in Atlanta, and it's the only one located within the city. Like, there's multiple other ones, but they're like in McDonough or Locust Grove or Barnesville, which is like in the deep, deep south of Georgia. Like, not Savannah deep, but pretty deep.
Yeah.
So I had to drive, like I said before, when I did commentary for those places, I had to drive like 2-3 hours out of my way. They at least gave me gas money, but that's not straight for another day. Anyway, Josh Wheeler was running it, and he saw a sign that said, "Come audition for the show," because the Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment was kind of donating their ring and their facility. Like, the place where we wrestled in DFL is where Atlanta Wrestling Entertainment used to have their monthly wrestling shows, was in that building. So they kind of were generous enough. So I saw it because Josh and I are friends because I'd done some work for him in the past. And I saw it and I said, I want to audition for this. So I drove to the building, which is the School of Humans. They're the production company that was running DFL. And I went to their building and I sat down for the audition. They asked me a series of random questions. Some of them I understood. Some of them were really funny, and I just tried to come up with as at least the best answers I could. And I had the guy crack it up, so he really loved me. Then I had to take a physical challenge where I had to do a bunch of burpees. I don't know if you guys know what those are, where you do a squat thrust and then jump in the air.
Yeah.
So they're called burpees. So I did like 5 of those, run through an obstacle course. I had to throw heavy sandbags into a garbage can. There was 5. I got about 3 in, couldn't get the last 2. And then I had to play ping pong with this other person and trash talk them the whole time. And that was my audition. So I did the audition, and about a week later, I got the call from the School of Humans, and they said, you've been selected. And I found out later that there was a panel of people that picked. The whole entire casting crew loved me. They were like, we need this guy. We want this guy. One guy voted against me. And if you'd like to know who that person was, it was Josh Wheeler. Josh was the one guy, the only person that I knew, the only friend I had, he was the one guy that voted against me, and that's because when he signed on to do DFL, he did not know that it was going to be the kind of show that it was. He thought it was going to be the kind of show that the wrestlers do in their ring. Like, we thought we were going to be doing arm drags and suplexes and suicide. He thought it was going to be professional wrestling. He didn't know that there were going to be gimmick-style matches. So... And Josh, and I have nothing but respect for Josh, even though he didn't pick me. I still respect him, and he's one of those guys that believes in the old school wrestling thinking. Like, he doesn't like most gimmick matches unless it involves physical violence of the highest nature. So, if you look at Josh's face real closely in a lot of the DFL episodes, you can tell he was gritting his teeth through it. Like, the biggest paycheck he's gotten in the wrestling industry, and that's not a knock on him. That's just indie wrestling shows it's hard for them to make money, so I don't make fun of them at all. Mm-hmm. And if it seems that way, I don't want people to think that. But I know the biggest check he ever got in the wrestling business is from this DFL show, and there's a part of him that feels like he sold his soul or something. But like, it was a great, that's how I got on. It was an audition. They loved me, and they loved me so much. When they came up with the concept for season 2, they said, we got to bring you back because they said, we've done all the polls and you are a breakout star, so we definitely want to work with you again. So the best part about this is not only am I going to be back for season 2, but it's established me a working relationship with Adult Swim, which has kind of been like a resurgence for my career. So
yeah,
that's how I got to be a part of DFL, and I'm so grateful to be part of DFL. It has been a life-changing moment for me.
Yeah, maybe you could get like a Murder One type position where you can explain matches. Maybe you and Murder One can have your own little corner.
I would love that. Murder One is awesome. I've got when I worked for AWA in the past, I got to meet Murder One a couple times, and he's a really cool guy. And you know, Josh and I become friends with him. I become friends with Josh, and you know, he and I look at the wrestling business a little differently from time to time, but you know, we're still really good friends, and I wanted to clarify that for the listeners. I don't want people to think that I'm bashing Josh. He and I are great friends, and he voted against me. He had his reasons for it, but obviously I'm glad his decision didn't affect everything in the long run because, like I said, it worked out great for the show, it worked out great for me and for Adult Swim, so everybody won.
Okay. Well, I think we asked the questions that most people wanted to know. It was great talking to you, Vince.
It's an honor, personally.
Yeah, thank you. I had a blast talking to you guys as well. I love it. I love doing interviews. So this was a lot of fun, and I'm glad I got to answer all the questions you wanted to ask. And if there's any more you want to ask, you know, if you ever want to do a part 2, feel free to call me.
Yeah. Before you go, I have one request. Can I get
Sure.
Can I get you to do a Hog Money Pizza Baby for me? Can you say that for me?
All right. Yeah. Pizza, baby.
That's awesome.
Hell yeah.
That's awesome.
Thanks,
Well,
guys.
thank you for everything.
Absolutely, always a pleasure.